It's green for go. They're racing. He says go. He says ta-da. And Tiger Tara roars away from them on the home turn. Here comes another big boil over. Equine athleticism at its best. The king is in the castle once more. This is in one race. The rest are almost in another postcode. She is a star with a capital S. It's going to be a triple treat, a miracle three-peat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed history here at Menangle. What about that? It's getting right up on the sprint lane and it's going to bolt in.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Sunday Session. My name is Greg Hayes and thank you for your company over the Easter break. This podcast is part of the Sprint Lane series for Harness Racing New South Wales, and for the next 30 minutes or so I'm going to talk about all the happenings in the sport, concentrating on what is going on in New South Wales. Big night at Wagga on Saturday night with the Riverina Championships for the boys and the girls. Captain Hammerhead picking up another New South Wales feature in the male division, while I Keep Smiling powered to another feature race win in the girls. Harness racing is a unique industry for many reasons, but one of the most important is it is one where women don't just compete alongside men. They get the chance to dominate. Here is a sport where gender doesn't define success. It's all about the incredible bond between driver and horse. And in Australia, we've seen some of the greatest female drivers in history prove just that. People like Natalie Rasmussen, legend of the sport, not just as a driver, but as a trainer, shaping a champion like Blacks of Fate. Kate Gath, powerhouse on the track with multiple Group 1 wins and a reputation for precision under pressure. And who could forget Karen Manning, the record-breaking reigns woman who notched over 4,000 winners and is still going, proving time and again that skill knows no gender. Women aren't just competing in harness racing, they rewrite record books, inspiring the next generation and showing the world that harness racing is all about success, and that's what makes this sport so special. Whether you're a rusted-on fan who's been around the sport for decades or reasonably new to the industry, there's nothing quite like the thrill and emotion of a win and the sight of the best drivers, men and women, going at it in pursuit of victory. Now, in saying all that, I thought it would be important to catch up with a couple of ladies enjoying great success in the sport right now. First up today, I'm going to speak with Jackie Gibson from Success Stud. Jackie's the owner of I Keep Smiling, the winner of the Riverina Championships. I want to have a chat to Jackie about the success that I Keep Smiling has had, but also about the rich family bloodlines that go all the way back to Grace Robinson and even actually further back than that to Jazz Marilla. I'll also have a chat to Jackie about the racing future of I Keep Smiling and how long she thinks the 5-year-old will continue to race for. They have done an embryo transfer on her already, and I'll speak with Jackie about that. My second guest today will be 20-year-old Taylah Osmond. Taylah won 2 big country cup races in New South Wales in the last week. She picked up the Goulburn Cup last Sunday with Where You Been Boppin', and then doubled up at Wagga on Saturday night when she won their cup driving Boom. I've known Taylor's parents, Scott and Kylie, for a long time. Scott was the leading junior driver at Canberra when I fell in love with the trots back in the early to mid-90s. I'd catch 3 buses from my house in Canberra to head out to the showgrounds to go to the races on a Friday night. Great memories watching Scott drive a horse called Chainsaw, who was probably my first favourite pin-up horse. He was no superstar of the sport, but I loved watching him race in the flesh. He won the Horse of the Year at Canberra. And it was watching horses like him compete that made me want to get involved in the industry as I got older. Even though Scott had great success in the sport, he always had a job away from the industry. And I'm interested to speak with Taylah about whether Scott and Kylie wanted Taylah to pursue a career outside of harness racing, or whether Taylah just knew harness racing was going to be it for her. I'm looking forward to that chat coming up on the show a little bit later on. Mr. T, he's back with his tips this week. He found a 104 winner last week, and both of mine struck out, so we need to fix up that pretty quick smart. I'll also have a quick wrap-up of fantasy harness racing, so there's plenty to get through. But first up, I'm going to catch up with Jackie Gibson.
So it's I Keep Smiling, Luxa Turner, Everard right behind them. Tallulah trying to hang on in fourth, and they've gapped the rest. Turning in, I Keep Smiling first to swing. McCarthy sitting pretty quietly by 4 over Everard, who goes back to the sprint lane. Then Luxa Turner, they've cleared out from the others, but I Keep Smiling, second last year, and is going to win easily this year in 2025. I Keep Smiling wins easily.
Well, I Keep Smiling just keeps going from strength to strength. Another feature race win at Wagga last night, and well, she just seems to be dominating here in New South Wales. There's not too many that can knock her over. Jackie Gibson, of course, owns the mare, and it's great to see Jackie having some fun with her, and she's joining me to have a chat. Hey, Jackie, how are you?
I'm really well, Greg, and how are you?
Very well, thank you. Happy Easter, and thank you for joining me on a Sunday where most people would be celebrating with their family. What a night last night was for you.
It was a great night last night, and perfect conditions over there for the Riverina Club, and so special just for me personally because my family, well, Mum and Jocko and Toddy and Eliza, they were there with us, so it was very special.
The mare, she just keeps going from strength to strength. She's now won 4 in a row. She picks up another big feature race. She got you a berth in the Eureka going back last year. She's been in Queensland. She won the Golden Girl. You're just having a fantastic ride with her.
It's and what a ride. I spoke with Mark Hewitt last night. He actually started Louise off, and he said, isn't it amazing? And I said, what a ride. And he said, well, hang on for the ride as long as you can. So that's what we're doing, and we're really enjoying it. And she's so special, so special.
I guess we see a lot of these top mares don't race on forever because they are so valuable in the breeding barn, but you're going down the embryo transfer with her, so does that mean we can expect to see her around on the racetrack for a little bit longer?
I certainly hope so, Greg. I've already done one, as you say, I've already done one transfer on her, and we have a weanling colt, Better's Delight, which will go through to the nutrient sale next March. I tried again last season when Luke was in the States, and she was just on light work, so I begged for her to come home, and we had another go, but it just wasn't enough time to get the setting right. It's a great thing that we have, available to us to be able to, do an ET while they're still racing. And another super thing is, if she does continue to go through and wins a race, the night before the auction of the yearling, how huge would that be?
Yeah, exactly right.
I hope that she'll continue and go through, while she's competitive, and Luke's with her every day. He'll make that call for me.
So I see that you're pretty keen to get to the Queen Elizabeth later in the year. Is that going? That's a race that you've got targeted for her?
Yeah, that's very special to me. We won it quite a few years ago with Harvey Kaplan, and I owned a mare called Our Sixpence when the race was formerly known as the Ladyship. So I'd really like to be in the race and have a start. It's a very prestigious race and carries a lot of history.
Now, I Keep Smiling. You mentioned that the progeny will be going through the nutrient sale, so will be for sale. How do you decide what goes for sale and what you're going to keep?
Everything, every colt will go through to the sales. It's been a family that I've kept very closed, for a long time and kept a lot of fillies, and it just depends how what the ANZ Bank says to me. Sometimes I've got to sell something and it pains me. I really don't like it, but you've got to be a realist about things. But we would never take anything to the sale that wasn't going to be sold. It's not trying to get anything into the race or, whatever's on. But if they go, they're genuinely for sale. But the fillies very rarely come on the market.
Okay, so I Keep Smiling was never ever going to leave the place when she was born.
Well, it's a funny thing. She's a lovely mare, and I think I had quite a few colts going through that particular year when she was a weanling, and I thought, I wonder, and it was about the time when Private Eye was racing really well, and I said, I wonder if I might just see how I go, and I just put a few feelers out, and I thought, I'll put 60,000 on her and see how I go, and someone came back to me and said, oh no, she's not worth that. She's 40 maximum. And I was like, oh no, well, no, won't even contemplate that. And luckily I didn't. So that was it. I just had one bit of a go privately and then thought, nope, she can stay. She's such a stunning big mare. And, she's got a lovely personality to go with it. She switches on and goes into work mode, but when she's at home, she's just a sweetheart.
Yeah, the mother OIC, she has produced a lot of fillies, hasn't she?
Yeah, she has, and that's probably why I'm very protective of the mares. I lost OIC 4 years ago now, so I haven't got her anymore. And just this past season, I lost Now I See, which is the mother of I Believe, which is a Group 1 winner as a 2-year-old. So that's been really tough. There's not a lot of fillies in the family, when you look into it, those that are available. So I just very, very rarely closely held family.
Amazing. Goes back to Grace Robinson and the branch of that family. There's just so many good horses coming out of that.
Goes back to Jasmarilla. That's way before it might be just the start of your time, back in the early 80s, 82, 83 or something.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a lovely story with that, Greg, too. Mum and Dad, when Jasmarilla, she was 2 and 3-year-old pacer of the year, not just filly, but pacer of the year in Victoria. And she was sold through to the States, and Mum and Dad had watched her, and they had an agent over there, David James, before he had come to Australia, and he was watching, and then she was on about a 48th race, and Mum and Dad purchased the mare, and at that stage she was booked to go to a horse called No Nukes, and the breeding buffs will remember him, a very, very strong racehorse and great sire. And so it was in a claiming race, and David went down there to sign the paperwork, and apparently he was nearly run out of town because she was already booked to go to this stallion, and here someone had popped in and claimed her, which can happen, but I just don't think it was going to. So they sent her up north into just the bottom of Canada there, and got her another 2 race wins on her for 50 race wins, and then she came home to Australia. So
she only had the 4 foals, Jasmarilla?
Yeah. Breeding disaster. So when Mum and Dad and Paul Davies was involved, and John McMullen at that stage, they brought her home, and I can't remember the stallion. She was in foal to, must have been something that Alabar had in those early days, and 2 weeks before they went to a broodmare auction with her, because it was basically just a turnover, and she wasn't in foal. She'd resorbed the foal, so that in a way was just the start of a lovely, lovely story. And then after that, she was difficult to get in foal, and then when we did, we'd have to sort of just nurse her way through. But and out of that, Grace Robinson, we'd sold a couple of foals out of her. I think Jazzy was one of those, and Colleen Bamford brought her and a couple of others. And then the next foal she had was a filly. And I said to Dad, she actually foaled out in our little foaling pen, and I charged out there and I said, right, if this is a filly, it's mine and I'm keeping it. So that was it.
And that was Grace Robinson?
That was Grace Robinson, named after my grandmother. So, it was sort of really, really cool, and off we went with her. And I didn't get to race her as a young filly. She was a weanling, and she stood in a hole and broke her fetlock. So we had to have that all fused. And so we bred her when she was 2. So I think on her record she's had something like 14 foals or something like that.
It's amazing to see, looking back in time. Rowboat was a handy horse and only had the 16 starts. 2IC obviously had that cult following. The Hayne train, OIC, IC Diamonds, Now IC, hard hitter. Amazing, the progeny of Grace Robinson.
Yes, she was just phenomenal mare, and very, very lucky to have had her and clung to her and just saying to Dad, no, that's it, she's going to stay. So, one of the benefits of being a girl, I think.
With the breeding, do you do a lot of how you pick your stallions? Is it all done through a computer, or do you go off field? Like, what's your plans on it? How do you do it?
We'll always support a first season sire because, if you like his breeding and he was a great racehorse, we'll support that way because nobody knows what you're going to get, and the trainers haven't had time to say, oh, no, they're all too big or too small or whatever a trainer will say, which can really affect your market through. Mm. So, first season sire will breed to, and then for us, it's always a proven stallion, which, you can be paying a lot more money for service fees, but, when you want to go to the sale, people will want to buy something that's by a stallion that's got the winners on the board. A lot of it depends on, what your mare is like. If she's a big mare, and, so you probably wouldn't breed her to a great big stallion because you'll end up with a giant that may not go early or, and if you've got a mare that's quite hot, you'll try to breed her to a stallion that if his stock that's producing a quieter horse so that you haven't got two crazies together.
Mm. What about the always liked, when they're speaking to different people within the industry, just to get their take on how the industry's going. Obviously, Victoria has gone through some pretty tough times and still is. But overall, how do you think we're travelling harness racing, the industry, Australia-wide? I think we're going okay. I think New South Wales is the pinnacle state at the moment. We've got a great array of stallions that are available to us. We've got some really good stud farms here that are producing really good horses. The racing's very good. We've got track sizes that are all current and so on. Of course, we'd all like to see some more money coming through. And I think, we need to have the lines of communication open with, our governing bodies, just so that they're hearing what we have to say. Yeah, and is it tough for breeders at the moment? Like, is it hard every year for the bottom line? I've definitely seen a change where people are coming and using our services where, they may have been coming with 3 or 4 mares. Mm. Now they're coming in just with the one mare. And that's just because the costs have gone up everywhere, and stallion fees are a lot more expensive, but everything has gone up. So, and then you sort of wonder, well, they're not coming in with 3 mares, but they're coming in with 1, so they've obviously picked out their best mare. So is that improving the stock that we're getting through to the races now? In some ways, I think it is. Mm. Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you there. I did see an interview last night, just quickly in wrapping up, with Paul Campbell. You were talking about America, and it would be a great thrill to take your mare over there. Is there anything in that?
Well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. If Louise, that's what we call, I Keep Smiling. If she, continues on and Luke feels that that's, the way to go, well, perhaps we'd think about it. But I am a breeder at heart. The racing side is my hobby, and I just, I love it, and it's, it's such a thrill. But for me, being the breeder, I think I would keep her home. But, we'll just wait and see. And, that's something that, we could think about too is with our governing bodies is, like being able to get some embryos from the mares and freezing them, which we're not allowed to do at the moment. So, perhaps that's something that, that we could all, the breeders could think about as well.
Okay, yep, definitely. Definitely would for the longevity of the mare and seeing them on the racetrack, which I think in a different hemisphere, which is important for the success of the sport worldwide. Jackie, always great to catch up with you and have a chat. Congratulations again on the victory last night, and I'll catch up with you again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Greg. Happy Easter.
Carlo Gambino's got nowhere to go at the moment. More Gooder, then Boom winding up from Captain's Catch as they swing. 27.5 for the third quarter. Whips are cracking now. Catch a Fire speculating right behind it from Reset the Bar. Big Bad Aussie. Carlo Gambino's trying to get out. More Gooder holds it in. Boom coming down the outside across the track. It's Big Bad Aussie. Boom out wide. Captain's Catch is coming with a big run. It's Boom moving up on the outside for Taylah Osmond, and Boom wins the Wagga Cup.
Young Taylah Osmond recently cracked 150 career winners, and in the space of a week has won the Goulburn and the Wagga Pacing Cups, and she's put those in a trophy cabinet as well. The 20-year-old is in her 6th season of driving and looks well on target to surpass her career best 54 winners in a season from 2023, as she sits on 22 winners in 2025. I've caught up with Taylah at the races for social media interviews, but this is the first time that she's joined me on the podcast. Thanks for joining me today, Taylah. Congratulations on what's been a cracking week.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me. It's been really good.
No problems at all. Goulburn Cup and then a Wagga Cup. If I'd said to you a week ago that you're going to win those two big races, would that have come as a bit of a surprise?
Yeah, definitely. Yep. I was pretty excited to sort of have a steer in both of them. I sort of thought Boone could go pretty good after his efforts at Wagga sort of 2 weeks ago. Leaving Bob and he's been going good too. But yeah, to say that I'd probably take both of them out, it's definitely a bit of a surprise.
Well, let's have a chat about Boom at Wagga last night. Drew awkwardly. You go into the race and you mentioned that the horse had been racing well. What were the plans going into the run?
Sort of back line, so just kind of lob a bit of a handy spot with sort of 9 horse field, sorry, I think it was. So yeah, draw on the back line, so just followed through, try to get handy enough, and was sort of able to do that. I was sort of hoping that I could sort of cruise around to the chair if it sort of come about, but that didn't, and yeah, sort of just had to use into that one run.
So you had to go with plan B and just basically save the horse up?
Yeah, pretty much. He's pretty versatile both ways, so yeah, I wasn't too worried sort of whatever way we had to go.
And what were you thinking inside the final lap? Were you thinking that you're on the winning horse?
Yeah, I thought I was a fair chance. I was a fair way back in the field, but yeah, I thought he was a pretty good show if we sort of got going at the right time, and yeah, he sort of got a good run into it.
He's now 1-2 on the trot. You've driven him on both occasions, and it's good to see the horse bounce back into a bit of form. You also drove him at Menangle 4 or 5 runs ago, and he finished second, and you've got a second on him at Goulburn 3 runs back. So you've obviously got a good affinity with the horse.
Yeah, no, him and I have a pretty good relationship together. We get along pretty well. He sort of went and missed a while ago and sort of just been working back to get his form back up. But yeah, these races sort of had them planned out for a while and they've worked out well for him.
All right. So what does James do with him now? Does he head back to town?
Yeah, he thinks we're going to go to Menangle on Saturday. There's just an up to 95 for him. So yeah, he'll head back to his metro races on Saturday.
Okay. And then last Sunday, the Goulburn Frank and Edna Day Goulburn Cup, where you've been bopping, who has been a really good horse for you. He's a 9-year-old, but gee, you've had some fun with him.
Yeah, he's been super for me. I think I've been driving him for probably 12 months. He's been really good for me.
He's an interesting horse because as he's got a little bit older, he's definitely not as one-dimensional as he once was. He used to love to get out and get on the speed, but he looks like he can do it from any position in the race now.
Yeah, he sort of enjoys mixing it up a little bit, so driving him with a bit of a stick. He rather than burning hard early, he quite enjoys zipping home, and he's the older he gets, the more versatile he's been really.
So going into last Sunday's race, what were the plans with him? Just get a nice soft run from the good draw?
Yeah, that was sort of the plan. Everything sort of didn't go to plan early. They all sort of went single file and that. But yeah, sort of when he ended up 1 out 3 in the end, it worked out really well for him. And
then last lap again, you're just able to track the right horse?
Yeah, we're on the back of Captain Ravishing, and sort of when he got pushed deep, sort of a bit later in the run, it sort of gave us a really good card into it, and yeah, he was full of running then. And
what did you think coming to the turn? What did you think? Oh, gee, I'm travelling really well here. This could be my race.
Yeah, when I pulled him out, he just kicked into another gear, and he's been racing really good behind some really good horses and under good times. But his form probably wasn't that good, but yeah, it looked really well. And yeah, when I asked him, he definitely showed that.
So you work for James Rattray. How long have you been there?
I've been here about 3 years.
Yep. And that's obviously been a very good learning place for you. James has obviously been able to teach you a fair bit.
Yeah, he's been great. The top quality horses we've got here as well, sort of, it's a bit different to sort of what I grew up with and that, everything sort of taught me a lot. But yeah, these ones are really good.
And so I asked this of most of the young people I get on the show. When you're at school, was the plan always for you to go into harness racing? Obviously, your dad was a terrific driver, still is, and your grandfather a very handy trainer. So was it always the plan for you to follow into harness racing?
It was for me. Mum and Dad, they sort of wanted me to follow through and, find a different career. But, I always wanted to do the horses, so that's what I ended up doing.
So was it a tough choice, a tough conversation to have with Mum and Dad to tell them that you were going to go out and do it full time? Not
really. I kind of just told them. I sort of just said, this is what I'm doing. And, they sort of, whatever worked, whatever's making me happy. So, it worked out well. And
obviously the decision's been a good one. How much do you rely on your dad? I mentioned Scott. I've known him for many, many years. He was the leading driver in Canberra for a long time and drove for Glenn Frost and had some tremendous success. How often do you go to Dad and ask him for some advice or run a few things past him?
Yeah, pretty much every race meeting. I'll go through the form and do my form, and then I'll ring him and say, have you done it as well? And we sort of run through it together and sort of come up with a few plans. And then straight after the races, within sort of 15 minutes, I'm on the phone to him again. And we sort of run through it all. So Dad's definitely the biggest supporter.
Did you come through the mini trots in Canberra?
Did I? Or
yeah,
Dad?
You.
I did. Yeah.
Did you?
Them for a few years.
Did you have good success in it?
Yeah, not too bad. I had a few good ponies. So it sort of made me want to do it more, I guess.
Yeah, and what about your grandfather, Ian? I know you've got a good affiliation with Six Again, one of his horses. What about the advice you get from your grandfather? Is that helpful?
Yeah, Pop's really good. He does a super job. He does all the work with the horses at home, and Pop's really good to sort of ring and ask. And he's sort of really good to ring about sort of the training side of things if you're sort of not too sure a bit. But Pop's really good as well.
And what about you in the future? Like, what are your dreams and aspirations in the sport? Would you like to, at some stage in the future, go out and be a trainer, or are you happy doing what you're doing at the moment?
At the moment, quite happy just driving and, working for James and the team here. Maybe sort of later down the track, I wouldn't mind getting my trainer's license, but there's definitely no hurry for that. Sort of taken day by day as it is at the moment. Yeah.
What about, I'd be remiss of me not to ask you about $100,000 race last night, Bainbridge. Bainbridge got dragged back by Nyack. Everything okay after that?
Yeah, Nyack just had a bit of a miss. He had a bit of a heart fib, unfortunately, but he's pulled up okay. He's bright today, so sort of just look after him and go from there. But sort of a bit unlucky, but what can you do? Those things happen.
You're going to be in a nice spot too if everything went okay with Nyack.
Yeah, it sort of worked out really well early for Bainbridge and me. Sort of the plan was to sort of hold up, and if we copped a bit of pressure, sort of let them go. But he's better with a sit, but unfortunately last night just sort of wasn't his go. Yeah,
sure. What about you in the mares final? You drove one for Lachlan, Taylah Osmond. Were you happy with it?
Yeah, I was really happy with her. She sort of, we come out early, and she sort of lobbed the death for lap, sort of half the trip, and sort of not really her go. But sort of run along behind them really nice mares. She's done a really good job. She just sort of knocked up probably the last 200. But again, that's sort of entitled. She's entitled to that when she had to do that work early.
Yeah, for sure. So outside of James's stable and your family stable, who are the trainers that have been giving you some support?
Corey Parker. I sort of can't thank Corey enough. He's been really good since I first started. I drive all of his team now. He's really good to me. Lachlan Cathero, since he's moved up to Penrith, he's been really good. And there's a few smaller trainers out there at the other tracks. Would be rude if I named them all and missed some. So definitely definitely a fair few that helped me out.
And by the looks of it, you're willing to travel too. Like if there's a drive there, you're willing to get on the road and travel to take that drive.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of work, a lot of travelling, but it sort of gets my name out there a bit, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Well, a couple of cups in the space of the week is definitely going to help that, of course, with Goulburn and Wagga. Look, thank you so much for joining me. Congratulations on what's been a stunning week, and all the best of luck going forward.
Thanks for that, Greg. Thank you.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Winning. Hey, that's pretty good.
Winner!
That was legitness.
For that, I say, all right. Wow, winning.
Bam! Just like that. That's all there is to it, Dustin. That's all there is to it. A winner! Just like that.
And the winner is...
Well, Mr. T, but it paid $1.04, so does that really count? Well, at least he got a winner. I didn't get one. Mr. T is positive $8.40 in our tipping challenge. I'm negative 62, so I've got a lot to make up. Mr. T has 2 tips this week at Bathurst. They're both on Wednesday. Race 1, number 2, Tintin's Treasure. 1-2 in a row, then finished second at its last 2. So Mr. T's hoping it can bounce back into the winners list from the good draw. Nathan Turnbull and Jai Coney combining. That's a winning combination right now. So race 1, number 2, Tintin's Treasure. And race 3, number 3, Mr. 4000. No driver named at the moment for that one, but the horse has got into the race with a 5-point claimer. So interesting to see who Steve Turnbull goes with. Winner 2 starts back at Dubbo and was midfield at Parks last time out. That's race 3, number 3, Mr. 4000. My 2, I'll go to Menangle on Tuesday. No luck at Goulburn last week. Race 3, number 7, Sheet Web Weaver. Now, what do the experts say? Never bet into a winning streak. Well, this horse has won 5 on the bounce. He keeps going up in grade. He continues to win comfortably. Bruce Birch has done a great job with the horse since it's resumed, and he looks to be in a race on Tuesday up to his eyeballs. So I'll bet on that winning streak. Race 3, number 7, Sheet Web Weaver. Bruce, if it gets beaten, don't blame me. And race 10, number 6, Double Act for Harry Martin and Ash Delosa, narrowly beaten last time out. That was at Penrith and finds himself in a very winnable race here at headquarters. He was beaten less than 15 metres in 150.93 starts ago, and if he races up to that, he should account for these pretty comfortably. So let's go with Double Act in race number 10. Week 12 in fantasy harness racing, and B-Man has 500 points, G-Spot 474, and Dynamic Poplar on 468. Oh, gee, I found it a tough week, even making my 2 changes this week. So overall, we've got Manning 90 on 8,481, ahead of Boilover and Larry and Harry, who are both on 8,436. And I'm back in 153rd spot. I need to improve and fast. That just about wraps up the podcast for this week. Big thank you to Jackie and Taylah for taking some time out on their Easter Sunday to join me on the podcast. I hope the Easter Bunny was good to you this year, and I'll catch up with you again next week for another edition of the Sunday session. But it's bye for now.